This is the regular meeting of the Mobile City Council, Tuesday, March the 28th. Please stand for our invocation led by Pastor Chris Farmer, First Baptist Church of Dawes. Remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let's pray. Father, it's a rainy day outside, but we thank you for the blessings of the rain. We thank you for just your goodness that comes through day by day and moment by moment. Thank you for the men and women that are willing to serve on this council, knowing that half the folks aren't going to like what they do when they make a decision. God, I thank you for their willingness and their service to our community. I pray that you will bless them individually, their families, their work that they are doing. Thank you for our mayor. I thank you for this great city, the state that we live in. I ask that for every decision that is made, that your wisdom, that your strength be available to see these things through. As difficult times, difficult decisions are made, it seems like we get divided more than we are together. May we come together with a spirit of respect, a spirit of unity, a spirit of love for one another, knowing that you still have great plans for this nation, still have great plans for this city, and we trust these men and women with the ability to help make those decisions to lead us into a prosperous future. I thank you for them and ask for your blessings on them, on this meeting. May your will be done. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Roll call. President Small.
Here.
Vice President Gregory.
Here.
Councilmember Penn.
Here.
Councilmember Carroll.
Here.
Councilmember Reynolds.
Here.
Councilmember Daves.
Here.
Councilmember Jones. Statement of rules.
And good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
It's good to see everybody on this rainy Tuesday morning. Welcome to our meeting. At this meeting, we do have rules. At this time, I ask if anyone has any type of electronic device at this time, including cell phones, please put on the off or the vibrator position, the off or the vibrator position. Any person desiring to address the council must sign in indicating the resolution, the ordinance, appeal, a public hearing agenda item before entering the meeting. When addressing the council, the speaker must state his or her name and address. Any person desiring to speak to the council on a non-agenda item must contact the city clerk office no later than 2:00 p.m. the Thursday prior to the council meeting. The subject that he or she wishes to address to the council must be identified and pertain to the city of Mobile business. Any person who has not given proper notice to the city clerk office and wishes to speak on a non-agenda item to the city council would not be allowed to address this council. Each speaker is allowed 3 minutes to address the council. A bell will sound to indicate the end of 2 minutes. 1 minute remains for summarizing. The second bell indicates that the time has expired. When addressing the council, there is to be no personal address to any individual council members. All statements are to be made to the chair, who will recognize any council member who wishes to respond. To maintain decorum, there would be no undue applause and a public outcry allowed. Madam City Clerk.
Approval of minutes of March 21st.
Second.
And properly moving second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Communications from the mayor.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Large crowd, especially for a rainy day. We certainly appreciate everybody being here. I know that throughout the morning, between the president of the council and myself, we'll be recognizing different individuals for being here. But again, thank everyone for coming. The first thing I'd like to point out is that from the city's perspective, we feel like it's very important to understand how resilient we are as a city. Therefore, resilient means how do we do in the face of adverse circumstances, whether it be storms, national pandemics or whatever, and how do we react to them? What is our recovery time to be prepared? And so in that effort, we're doing a citywide resilience assessment plan. It'll take 18 months to do this. We really would like your input you can go to the cityofmobile.org website. There's a banner kind of sliding across the screen that says, study, and so resilient study. So you can click there and download what your thoughts are on what would it take for us to be a more resilient city. So it won't take you but a couple of minutes to complete it. The next item is that we have an Administrative Services Employee of the Month, so I'll ask Leslie Ray to please step forward and make that presentation.
Leslie Ray, the Director of Human Resources, and with me, John Noletta, who's our Deputy Director of Payroll. We would like to present Cheryl Gillespie as our February Employee of the Month for Administrative Services. Cheryl, I just call her the eagle eye of payroll. She's been in payroll for about 18 years, and she's very good at her job. Payroll just runs a tight ship, making sure we all get paid every 2 weeks. And I'm just honored to work with Cheryl. She is our detail-oriented person. I mean, if there's a little detail that somebody missed, some T wasn't crossed, she will make sure that we take care of that to make sure our records are accurate. One thing that people don't realize what she does every 2 weeks with payroll is an important service. We have a lot of involuntary deductions, which we pay over 2,200 employees every 2 weeks. And involuntary deductions, unfortunately, are tax levies, garnishments, and child support. And we have a lot of employees who have a lot of children, and people come and go, and there's a lot of those types of deductions. So we trust Cheryl to make sure that all that is accurate. She gets along with everybody. She's just a joy to know, delight to work with, and she is certainly a team player. So we are very grateful to have Cheryl work with us, and I'm happy to present her with this plaque to show that she certainly reaches our core values and teamwork and dedication to the city of Mobile. So thank you, Cheryl.
Next, I have a proclamation that I would like to read regarding Young Parents Day. And I would ask that LaTanya Patterson please come to the podium. Is she here? Yes. And you can bring a couple of your associates with you if you would like to. And after I make the presentation, you're welcome to make some remarks. Okay? The proclamation reads, whereas March has been designated as National Parenting Awareness Month, where American citizens are called upon to recognize the importance of parenting awareness, look for opportunities to serve as leaders and mentors, for young parents to engage in their communities, and observe this month with appropriate activities and programs. And whereas our community in Mobile, Alabama has several individuals and organizations who support the parenting awareness movement and work selflessly to improve our parents, especially young parents, odds of success in parenthood, and whereas many young parents would benefit from having consistent mentors in their life, where research has shown that parental negative behaviors shape how we parent our children, and having a positive parent mentor in their lives may reshape negatively learned parenting behaviors. Now, therefore, I, William S. Stimson, the 108th Mayor of the City of Mobile, do hereby proclaim March 28th, 2023 as Young Parents Day in the City of Mobile, and encourage other citizens and residents of Mobile to become parent mentors and parent leaders.
So we do want to thank everyone for, one, acknowledging ambitiously Him and Her Kings Foundation, and for being the individuals that you are. As it was stated, you all do make a lot of hard decisions, and sometimes everyone isn't pleased with it, but you have to have someone to make the hard decisions. So we want to thank you all for recognizing us and just recognizing our young parents. And we hope to be able to continue to serve our young parents within our community, and we look forward to partnering with those who would like to help us in our mission.
Yeah, congratulations to you all.
Also like to recognize a student that's shadowing me today, Allison Powell. Allison, if you would stand up just for a moment. She's a senior at Faith Academy studying government, and part of her duty is that she has to spend 4 hours with an elected official. Just as a matter of information, her father is Command Master Chief Wesley Powell from the United States Coast Guard, and she would, upon graduation, would like to go to the University of South Alabama and study computers and cybersecurity. And we know it as the council and the mayor, the Coast Guard has such a tremendous impact on our community overall, but to see one of their children pick the University of South Alabama to go into cybersecurity, help make this country a safer place is just really gratifying. So thank you, Allison. Appreciate you. We have several teams that we'd like to recognize right now, and I'd ask Shonda Smith to come recognize the teams who are here.
Good morning. So we sent 9 teams, local champions, to the state championship and came back with 3 state champions. We have the 8 and under champions from Spring Hill Wildcats. The head coaches Rashad Butler, assistant coach Dominique Petaway, and assistant coach Tennille Thomas. We have the 10 and under champions, Peters Park Panthers. Head coach is Famous Lockhart and assistant coach Jonathan Bush. And who I think we have here is the 12 and under team, correct? From Taylor Park? Okay. So what I want to ask is that if all the teams can come down to the, and I'm going to call them all, and then 12 and under champion Taylor Park Cougars, head coach Marcus Hector, assistant coach Wesley Nicholson, and assistant coach Deandra Clifton. Let's give them a hand. If you can actually come all the way across so we can get a picture. Come all the way across.
I like those bow ties, man. I like those bow ties.
Looking sharp today.
Yes.
Yeah, why don't we all
Those
say stand up?
red bow ties, man. I hit
Come in a little. Yeah. Pull back some. Pull back some.
Coach. Great
Come on
job,
back.
guys.
Can y'all go back
Thank
to
You
your
guys, so you can get it out.
We need to go. Keep on going. Keep on going.
Keep going. Keep going.
Hold on one second. Got another one coming?
Thank you. Thank you, gentlemen.
Is that it? Ms. President, while they're going back, if I could congratulate these young men on winning a state championship. Is, I mean, nothing better than feeling the success of winning and being the best in the state at what you do. Guys, remember it for as long as you live. I mean, it's just nothing better than that feeling. And congratulations to you again on doing and accomplishing such a task. But if I may, I noticed up in the right over here, a gentleman, Melvin Cole, Coach Melvin Cole, who was the coach of the 10 and under National Girls BYOB championship team in 2009 who probably has a son or a grandson playing on one of these teams. So the talent in our city is tremendous. And for so many people to continue to contribute to the lives of young men and these people is just awesome. Chandra, what a great job you guys and Shad and Shep have done to bring back this sport to our city, to our youth basketball program and our city league. I can't tell you how much it makes me feel to see these kids playing and actually have a chance to be in the gym watching basketball on a Saturday. So great job to Mobile Parks and Recreation. But again, guys, great job to y'all. Congratulations.
Also, I'd like to get the chaperones and the parents from Taylor Park, Ms. Chastain. Y'all just stand up and just wave your hands. Yeah, congratulations. Yeah, thank you all.
So last but not least, we have the Therapeutic Special Olympics group here, the basketball team. They went to Centerville, Alabama, and came back with the gold medal. So let's give them a hand and let's have them all come down to be recognized. And they're coached by Miss Ladera Bell. She is the coach, and she's been coaching them for years. And this is not the first time that they come back representing a gold medal. Don't go no more, Tony. Stay right there. Scoot a little bit to the left. Just give a little bit of room. There you go.
Keep on scooting. Keep on. Right there. Whoop.
Right there, right there, right there. Thank y'all.
Shonda, how many years in a row have they represented this city?
Ladera, can you respond? How long have they been?
I know they were up
It's
there
been
last
a while.
year, I believe.
7 years. And because last year you all went to Orlando, right?
Yeah.
National game. So they travel a lot and they come back with a lot of awards.
Well done.
Thank you.
One more. Save the best for last. That's not to throw down on anybody's state champion or wins a gold medal is great. But we have a special proclamation we want to read today, and I'd ask Lawrence Auer to please join me, as we already have. You'll step on up, Shonda. I'd like to read this proclamation. It says, Lawrence Auer served as the head golf professional for Azalea City Golf Course for 18 years and oversaw significant changes and improvements to the course, clubhouse, and golf shop. And whereas Lawrence has remained committed to the Azalea City Golf Course's mission, which is to provide a quality golf experience at an affordable rate and a friendly environment, and whereas, in addition to overseeing the operations at the course, Lawrence also taught golf lessons to countless students of all ages and skill levels, including one who went on to join the PGA Tour, and whereas Lawrence has also been a mentor to many of the assistant golf professionals that have worked with him, including several that have gone on to become golf professionals at other clubs, and whereas commitment to the sport has helped grow the game of golf in Mobile and led him to receiving multiple accolades as a player and as a leader in the golf industry in Mobile and beyond. Now, therefore, I, William S. Stimson, the 108th Mayor of the City of Mobile, do hereby proclaim March 28, 2023 as Lawrence Auer Day in the City of Mobile. His legacy at the Azalea City Golf Course and the City of Mobile will be a shining example for years to come. Thank you very much, Lawrence, for all you've done. Yeah, well, you've won plenty of trophies in your day, but that is a medal for exceptional performance during the course of your tenure as an employee of the city of Mobile. I told Lawrence this outside a little while ago, is that having in a previous life, before being the mayor, I had some experience about golf courses. And what Lawrence has done with the budget that he had to work with is nothing short of phenomenal. I mean, the shape that our course is in, the friendly atmosphere, the entire package is attributable to what he's done. So Lawrence will be indebted to you for a very long time. Thank you. And I think that Shonda has something that she'd like to say also. And then we'll let you say a few words.
Thank you. So in the end of all of this, Lawrence is also retiring on us. He told me earlier this month, he called me before he put it in, and he's like, I want to let you know, be the first to know that I'm leaving. But what I've appreciated with Lawrence over my 4 years here is that he's consistent, he's dependable, and he makes sure that I know anything that's happening. And so I was able to trust that they knew golf and was covering it. But he also dealt with my crazy when I had all of these extra ideas that I wanted to implement. He had no problem with implementing them. So I've appreciated working with him. And so from the city, every retiree get a watch. So you have your watch. And then from Parks and Recreation, we did a plaque that said, presented to Lawrence Aura, and grateful appreciation for 18 years of hard work, loyalty, and dedication. Enjoy your retirement. Thank you.
Mayor Stimson, Council, and Ms. Smith, I'd just like to say it's been an honor to work for the City of Mobile for the last 18 years. I look forward to living in Mobile and being part of the Mobile community for many years to come, and thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Ms. Reynolds.
I'd like to just say a few words, Lawrence. I had the opportunity to serve alongside Lawrence for a short period on the City of Mobile Golf Course Advisory Board, and I'll tell you, I learned a lot from Lawrence in just that short time about the business of golf, and there's always a little more to it than what you know. But one thing that was absolutely clear for Azalea City Golf Course that I come to learn was that it is a first-class golf course. The quality of golf that you can play at Azalea City is just phenomenal, and I think that's owed a lot to you, Lawrence, and Brian out there at the golf course, and everyone will miss you. There's some big shoes to fill, and I can't wait to go out and maybe we can play around the golf sometime. Thank you, Lawrence.
And this morning, we have some special ladies in our audience this morning, all dressed out in their red. And they came this morning, they treated the council with some good breakfast this morning also. And I see that we have on the agenda the president of the Delta Sigma Theta, and she's scheduled to speak, but I'm going to ask her just to come on up and speak anyway. But we'd like to welcome the Mobile Alumni Chapter of the Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporation. Ladies, will y'all please stand? Yeah, thank you all so much for all the work that you all do throughout our community. We thank you this morning for the breakfast also, and thank you for attending our meeting, and we appreciate your services and all that you all do in our community. Thank you all so much and everything. And Doctor, yeah, come on forward.
Good morning.
Good morning.
City Council, Mayor Stimson, and Administration. I am Roxanne Hannon Odom. I reside at 1215 Palmetto Street here in the city, 36604. I am here representing the Mobile Alumni Chapter, Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated, where I serve as the chapter's president. In celebration of our Sisterhood Month, we are here to highlight our sorority and their impact in our communities nationally and locally. Founded in January 1913 by 22 courageous women that were already politically organized and ready since day one. And by March 1913, were participants in the Women's Suffrage March in D.C. We were founded on three basic principles: scholarship, public service, and sisterhood. Since day one, through public service and social action, our sisterhood has developed and coordinated community programs designed to enhance political awareness and eradicate social inequities. We have been at the forefront of issues important to our communities for 110 years, since day one. And so you may know us back then by Shirley Chisholm, Alexis Herman, Dorothy Height, and Barbara Jordan. These days, we look like Barbara Drummond, Lisa Carol Lambert, Joy Reid, Keisha Lance Bottoms, and Marcia Fudge. Though we are nonpartisan in nature and purpose, our sorority understands the importance of and the need for an informed electorate. Therefore, since day one, we organize, sponsor, coordinate, and implement activities that foster voter registration, voter education, and get out to vote campaigns to combat voter suppression. We are concerned and closely monitoring annexation, youth violence, establishing programs that are uplifting and educational, as well as sustainable, affordable housing, and anxiously waiting for the city's master plan with restoring housing stock in Mobile. Lastly, we are concerned with the revitalization of Africatown. Where we stood is still where we stand since day one, and that is being a force and a voice for our community. Just in case there are no seats at the table, we were taught to bring our folding chairs. We look forward to working with our city council and city representatives and learning more about issues that will impact our communities and providing feedback where needed and necessary so all voices are heard. Thank you for this opportunity. Thanks to my sorors for being here today, my family, my husband, Maynard, my pastor, Dr. Titus Thorne, for their support, my co-chairs, chair and co-chairs of political awareness, my soror, Kawanda Brooks, and Queena Ruffin. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
Thank you. I always mess with the president. She always calls herself Roxanne Odom, but I always say this Dr. Roxanne Odom. Give honor where honor is due. Thank you all so much, ladies, and thank you, Dr. Odom.
Mr. President?
Yes, Ms. Gregory.
You had mentioned some of our current city employees, and of course we have some retired city employees who were here, and it's always great to see you all back and to recognize you again. Of course, our city clerk, Lisa Carroll. It's great to see Gwen up in there, and there's Ray. I mean, it's just wonderful to see all of you all, and we recognize so many of you and know you through your work in the city. So thank you for all you do. Thanks for coming down and being a part of this and for staying involved. You know, that's great to hear of your involvement in the city. So we just appreciate all that you do. And there's Leslie up top, another one of our city employees.
Shayla Biko.
Yeah, is Shayla? There's Shayla. And of course, Keisha, who is not a city employee, but sometimes we think she is because we see her so often.
Mr. President.
Mr. Carroll.
It appears that these deltas are just everywhere. Look, y'all know red is my favorite color. And let me say thank you for everything that you've done along the way, especially doing the redistricting outcry and the need for help and outreach in that process. Thank you again for some of the confident conversations about annexation and the candidness as to where we're going that I have talked to some of you about, because this is, like I said, a complicated and a difficult and diplomatic process that we're undertaking here. So Delta is an extremely important part of our city, our political process, and also our community think tank when it comes to those of us that have or communities that have been underserved for a while. So thank you to Delta Sigma Theta again, and it's great to have y'all here today.
And Mr. Carroll, I
Yes,
think
yes,
Dr.
sir.
Odom had mentioned about Africa Town. I believe that there's a meeting next week.
Yes, sir.
And make sure y'all bring y'all folding chairs to that meeting.
Mr. President, this morning at the breakfast, we had a member from one of our sister sororities to come in, and she said that she didn't know she wanted to eat any of the breakfast. And I told her it was okay. We just sprinkled a little Delta dust on it. And one of the council members asked, what did that mean? And I said, well, it's sprinkled with fortitude, power, and endurance. So there you go.
Mr. President,
Yeah, Mr. Penn.
I truly want to thank Deltas for coming down. My sister is a Delta, my cousin is a Delta, my aunt is a Delta. So I definitely have been raised by Deltas. And so I want to thank y'all for the breakfast as well. Thank you for the service that y'all provide for the community. Like my colleagues have stated, y'all are everywhere. And we are grateful for the service that you provide, not just for our community, but for our city, as you see, as all the leaders that are here. So thank you, and we continue to be grateful for everything that you provide for our city. Thank you again.
Monthly finance report.
Okay, good morning, Mr. President, Ms. Vice President, members of the council, and Madam City Clerk. Before I get started, I just wanted to say one thing. I'm going to make a request that we change my lineup in the meeting on council days. It's kind of hard to stand up here and talk about finance when we've talked about gold medals, championships, retirements, and everything else. And it also kind of makes me look not so good behind Shonda, because Shonda's the one who organized all these things. So Shonda will have to maybe kind of work on that if we can, okay? Thank you.
Well, I don't believe you brought in the bad news in the last several months, so you're good. Yeah. Keep it positive. You keep it positive.
Okay, I'll keep it positive. Okay, so we finished February and got that report out. It was not a bad month. It was kind of a flat month. We got about $14.7 million in sales tax against our budget of 14. So we're really right on budget. And year-to-date, sales tax is about $84 million and against a budget of $78 million. And compared to last year, pretty much right in line with where we were last year. Just about $4 million ahead overall year-to-date compared to where we were last year in sales tax. Total revenue for the month, $25,400,000. That's pretty much right on target with what we budgeted, 25.1. Year-to-date, $162 million, and we're running about $10.5 million better than budget year-to-date on all revenue, and we're doing better than last year. Last year, instead of 151, we made 153, but compared to this year, we were at 162. So a couple of other things too. Monthly sales tax this year was 168 less than last year, but year-to-date, our total tax, I should say, not sales tax. Total tax was $8.2 million better than last year, and a lot of that has to do with city business licenses, which really came in strong and is still coming in pretty strong for the year. As far as our spending goes, public safety, they had a budget of $44 million, and we spent $38 million. Public Works had a budget of $27, spent $21.5. Admin services, a budget of $5, and they came in at $4. And total cost centers, we had a budget of $106 million, and we came in at $90. So we have a positive variance in terms of spending for the year, which has contributed overall to the financial performance of the city. Things like performance contracts, they're pretty much on target with where we thought they'd be. That's something that we put in the budget. They're just about $3 million that we've spent so far. That's a little less than half, but we're a little less than half of the way through the year. Library, we spent $3 million, and our budget was $3 million. And the personnel board, we're right on target with those guys at $800,000. So far through the year, our earnings to date, 56 million, and we had a pretty good month in February, a little less than what we did last year by about $600,000. The first 5 months of the year have been pretty good, just like they were last year. March will probably be a challenge for us, as it usually is, and then we'll have to watch how we do in the spring and the summer, and in September, which is also usually a pretty tough month. But all in all, the first 5 months have been pretty encouraging from the standpoint of building up our finances. A couple other things I just thought you might be interested in. Everybody hears about the economy, and I'd like to take a little bit of time just to share. Interest rates went up another 0.25% in February, and so that continues to be, it's a good and a bad thing, I can tell you. On the one thing, it makes things more expensive, but also it's enabled the city to earn more money on our cash than we did last year. Last year, interest rates about this time were zero, basically zero, and now this year we've got an opportunity to make some money on the money that we have accumulated over the last year. Inflation dropped a little bit to 6%, and unemployment is not so bad at 3.6%. We continue to look at SSUT. We've talked about that before. That's something that the mayors of the Big Ten are working on right now, and trying to put together a plan to go before the legislature to try and get that modified in some way, because we think we're losing opportunity there. And then internally, we just completed the ACFR this week, and we'll be taking that to the press before the end of the week, so that'll be available. We'll be posting it, and I'll send you all an email today letting you know where it is on the website. And then in another couple of weeks, we'll be starting the budget, and I know we'll be having a lot of discussion about that as we move through the year. So that's my report. Any questions?
Any questions, comments from the council, Mr.
Yes,
Davis?
sir, Mr. President.
Mr. Davis, then Mr. Reynolds.
Hey, Mr. Holt, I'm going to spring a question on you, and you may not have the answer, and that's fine if you could just get it to me later. What, at this point in the year, what would be our target full-time equivalent headcount versus our actual full-time equivalent headcount?
I don't have the exact number. I'll get that for you for the day, but we are under our budget.
Any, just ballpark?
Maybe, I think we were talking about it this morning. I think it's about 170 something.
170. Yeah,
But
just,
I'll confirm that with you.
okay, thanks.
I believe that is about accurate. It's between 160, 170 positions short in the city.
Citywide, right?
Citywide.
Yeah, okay, thank you. That's fine.
Mr. Reynolds.
Mr. Holt, I may have didn't catch it, but monthly expenses to budget, did you provide that number?
Yes, I did.
Could you give that to me again?
Uh-huh. Let me just turn it back there. Yeah. Our budget was 106 million, and our expenditures were 90.4. And really, all the departments were pretty much running a little bit below. And a big part of that is what we just mentioned here, personnel.
Thank you, Mr. Holt.
And other council members.
Yeah, Mr. President.
Mr. Jones.
Yeah, first of all, just you have a gold medal staff, so you don't need to worry about making your comments when you do. Y'all absolutely uphold the gold standard in communication, transparency, and the due diligence that you do month over month, and I appreciate that. I would like to ask that we have another committee meeting. I know it's been a while. We were looking at salaries, and there was a report that y'all had recommended be done, which we did, and I think that the results of that should be available at some point, if not now, in the very near future. And based on that comment, we're short 160 to 170. I would like for us to take a look and see, number one, what's the impacts of that to the city, month over month. In some areas, probably have more impacts than others, specifically in the public works area, but also in contracts, engineering, et cetera. But then, based on the report that has been done and compiled, are there any changes that we need to make? And what does that look like in recommendations from the administration to the city council that we can address during that meeting?
Okay, thank you.
and that's a project we're still working on, but I think we're making good progress on it.
And other council members.
Just
Mr. Carroll.
one statement. Joel brings out a good point. What I would like to know, though, is what is the cost per head of those 160 or 170,000 people per year? I mean, 160 or 170 people. We're talking about a $16 million budget surplus, which, if those people were hired, may not be a surplus. But we've gone on now for 2 years without hiring those people. So in those previous year, like I stated last year, that's $16 million that we budget every year that could be directed to help in areas that we have not done. Now, we projected a fiscal year this year that may be somewhat slow because of the economy, but we've outperformed those projections probably 75%. I just did the math while I was sitting here. So we've outperformed those projections by 75%. So we're in really solid ground here. So I guess to say that later on in the fiscal year, there may be an ask that we could redirect some of those funds to the administration on maybe another program.
I would expect that discussion to be had, but I would want to make a point too that last year at this time we were in the exact same position. We had a stellar year. Then from March until September, much of the surplus, a good portion of the surplus that we had accumulated in the first half disappeared. Now, part of that was due to a contribution to the contribution from the surplus into capital.
That's right.
But not all of it.
Well,
and that was a big change from where we were the year before.
Now, just remember I said later on in the year because I'd like to see where we are towards the end of the year.
Okay, absolutely.
Mr. President, yeah. I'm not intending to get argumentative with Councilman Carroll, so please don't take it that way. I said I'm not intending to get argumentative with Councilman Carroll and urged him not to take my following comments that way. Just because we can't hire these people now doesn't mean we're never going to be able to hire these people. And to the extent that we add addition, and I'm not sure, again, you were talking about this, to the addition, once we've learned is that once you start making expenditures, operational expenditures out of the general fund, it is very, very difficult to reverse that. Once you start programs, it's extremely difficult to stop those programs. So if you start spending more in the general fund because you got a surplus in the general fund, because you don't have him, because you're having difficulty hiring the employees, then you're adding perpetual expenditures in the general fund. And then when the time comes, which it will come, when we can hire folks, we don't have the space in the general fund to do it. I just, and again, I know I sound like Cassandra, but we are at, this country has been, and this city has been, on a very long run of very good economic conditions. And at some time, that's going to stop. And it could stop soon, it could stop later. We don't know when it's going to stop. But we need to have the resiliency afforded by a strong reserve in order to respond to that day when it comes.
Mr. President.
Hold on, Mr. Carroll.
I would just say real quick that to your comment, I think that's something some of us in finance and elsewhere in the organization feel the same way. When that will come, when it won't come, it really can't tell, but it's been a long run so far, and we've got a lot of uncertainty in the marketplace, and some of us are a little bit cautious about what we say we're going to do next year. It's like we did last year. But
Mr. Penn.
Okay.
Not trying to be, create an argument with Councilman Dave on the right side. I'm just but I understand his point. But I think and I can't speak for Councilman Carroll, but I believe that when you have money in the surplus, it is programs that you can create that doesn't create money later on in years. It's certain projects that we can complete that in our communities that we can see now that won't create issues later. And so I think that's how you create strategies. You start having these strategy sessions to make sure that the type of projects that you complete wouldn't create financial burdens later in the next years. And so I think that's how you create those conversations and make sure that you don't have those type of problems. So I think you can do it in a way that, to your point, you still can create and see some results now using those surplus monies to create projects in certain communities. So I understand his concerns, but I believe that you still could see some results by doing it wisely and talking to people in the community to do that. And I believe we have done that this prior year. And I believe that we can do that moving forward. And I believe that we have done that. I think even when we first started last year, we had a surplus. We had 1 month reserved. Now we have 2 months. So we've been wisely preparing ourselves for issues if a challenge happens financially in our city. And so I believe we're putting ourselves in a position to be prepared. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Mr. President. I do somewhat agree with my colleague, Councilman Joe. As a matter of fact, I don't have a problem with that, and I expect nothing less from a banking officer and previous president who is a fiscal conservative. So I expect nothing less than that. But however, our budget for the city every year runs somewhere close to $300 million. And it's a balanced budget every year that the administration does. And within that balanced budget, those same positions are funded every year. So the perpetual funding of those positions is there. The request, if made, would be a one-time funding of a program to get it started out of that $16 million, which would be a one-time issue. It's sort of like the $30 million one-time issuance to the airport. One-time funding that is not perpetual to jumpstart an initiative, not perpetual, just one time.
Mr. President.
Mr. Jones.
Yeah, the danger here, that 16 million represents some things, plural, some things that did not get done, that should have been completed. And if we don't identify what those are and put a plan in place to complete those this fiscal year, those funds are going to carry over into a general budget, and those projects that need to be done are not going to be done and carry over into the next year, which are either going to do one of two things. It's going to require additional funds in the future year, or it's going to add to the to-do list, and it's going to push something else off the table. So I think it's extremely important that we identify what's not being done and put a plan in place to extend these funds to cover those projects that are needed. So I think we're all talking the same thing. There is a fiscal responsibility, but there's also a responsibility of the constituents to make sure that we are taking care of the needs in the certain districts with the funds that we have budgeted this year.
And other council members.
Mr. President.
Yes.
Just a quick comment from us. If y'all remember, you approved us to do a competitive compensation study. We hired a group called Evergreen. Some of that preliminary work has already been done, and we're approaching 2 different phases. And this is addressing what y'all are referring to, the surplus of vacant positions. So the first phase is already before the Personnel Board. We're waiting for the public hearings and the approvals. That deals mainly with engineers and architects, as well as some other public work positions that we've been unable to fill. But it's to bring some competitive pay into those in hopes that we can fill them. There's also a second phase being worked on to address all of the other classifications within the merit system. And so we're working diligently to get those positions filled. And so I think you will see us make some progress on the second half of the fiscal year in getting those positions filled, getting competitive pay, and also making sure that we're taking care of our employees going forward. I will tell you, as they complete the benefit side of the compensation, that the city, because of the raises given by the city over the past 10 years, that we were not in as bad a shape as we were, but since it's been since 2005, since we did a study, we are out of whack in certain areas. And so not everybody is due for an increase, but there are certain positions as far as professional or trade positions that we do have to make adjustments in.
And other council members. And I do agree with you, Chief, on that. Us just got back in from the National League of Cities, and one of the classes I attended was to how to retain, your public safety. And it was just not just about, just saying there was like 1 million police officers in the United States compared to how many people that we have. But compensation is one of the things that they was talking about, how to retain them and how to get them, because you got so many people that's leaving the, public safety, fire and policemen. And so we need to make sure that we do an overview to make sure that we keep up to the standards that we need to be, kept up to make sure that we can retain our officers. But appreciate you on your side. Thank you, Mr. Holt.
Thank you.
Adoption of the agenda.
Second.
Been properly moving second in the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Agenda's adopted.
Appeals, we have requests for waiver of the noise ordinance on April the 8th on Japonica Avenue, April 29th at the Bragg Mitchell Mansion, April 2nd in Mardi Gras Park, April the 8th in Lions Park, April the 8th in Cooper Riverside Park, April 29th in Cooper Riverside Park, and May 11th in Arlington Park.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moving second in the discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Appeal passes.
Public hearings. Today is a public hearing to rezone property located at 6815 Cary Hamilton Road from RA to I-1.
This opened up the public hearings for this particular said item. Is anyone present that would like to address the council? You may do so by coming down to the podium and stating your name and your address at this time. Is anyone present? If not, this public hearing is closed.
Public hearing to amend Appendix A, Downtown Development District of the Unified Development Code, Chapter 64 of the Mobile City Code, 2022.
This opens the public hearing for this particular said item. Is anyone present that would like to address the council? If so, you may come down to the podium and state your name and your address. Is anyone present? If not, this particular public hearing is closed.
Public hearing to declare the structures at 1017 Donald Street, 1852 Mott Street South, 301 North Ann Street, 1003B Houston Street, 4019 Tulsa Drive, 2077 Victory Drive West, and 5651 Stegall Street, public nuisances, and order them demolished.
This opened up the public hearing for these particular said items. Is anyone present that would like to address the council? If so, you may come down to the podium stating your name and your address.
Good morning, Mr. President.
Good morning.
City Council, Board. My name is Curly Johnson, and my property address is 4019 Tulsa Drive. There is repairs being done there, but they're all out of pocket.
They all what now?
All my repairs is being done on my home.
Yes, sir.
Is out of pocket. I have been making progress with it. I have permits in the window, and I have started on my structure. Right now, I'm putting windows in. With all the rain, I have my roof covered up. And I don't want to unveil it and open up a can of worms where I can't get it closed, and then it destroys more the inside of the home. And I would like to submit some pictures to you of what's going on.
Let me ask you this question here. You said you did pull the permits on that particular property?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you're currently working on it, correct?
Yes, sir.
We're going to ask to hear from Mr. Dockenbach.
Mr. President, municipal enforcement, our records show that the permit is expired, but if we would like to hold this over 30 days and we could come back and revisit it, I do recognize that work is being done, but I do want to verify that we have an active permit. There was a permit that was issued, but my records indicate that it's expired. Okay.
I received a permit February 1st, which the permit department gave me 60 days, which makes my permit expire April 1st.
Okay, then you say, okay, I tell you what, yeah.
Mr. President, I understand where we're at. He just needs to contact building department, schedule an inspection, or request an extension of the permit, and then we can table this matter.
Okay. I tell you what, I'm just going to hold this over for 30 days. Could you get with Mr. David right after this meeting? He'll make sure that everything is lined up and make sure that your building permits is lined up, and then we will revisit this and everything back in 30 days, and just keep on doing the work and make our community great.
All right.
Thank you so much, man.
Thank you, sir.
Is anyone else present that would like to address the council?
Good morning. Sabrina Mass, 1050 Belvedere Circle West, Mobile, Alabama. Good morning to everyone. I'm just here to Mr. Curley, the gentleman that spoke on Tulsa Drive. I've known him for many years. He's a very good guy, and he works really hard. I don't even know if he has any off days. Did he leave? He's a hard-working gentleman in District 3. He works at the state dock. I've known him for many years. A good guy, and I'm just here to say if you guys can help him out. And I know he has a few health problems, but he's definitely a good citizen and that lives in District 3.
All right,
Thank you. Yes, sir.
Is anyone else present that would like to address the council on these particular said items?
I know you just got back, but thank you, Madam Assistant City Clerk, opening the floor. I actually want to, Reggie Hill, 1007 Center Street. I actually do want to ask just a general question about each of these. And this is not a chastisement to Mr. Doggenbach. I think he has generally good intentions for these matters. But what I want to ask, have we considered any use of the ARP funding for these structures where we might know who has the ownership in the properties? I understand where there might be individuals who are out of town. We don't know who owns the property, or there might be some delinquency in that regards. But if we have people actually working towards it and might not have any assistance right now, that might be why we're in this problem as well. So has anybody considered maybe us putting the ARP resources towards restoring some of these homes for the people who might be in a financial inconvenience or hardship?
Mr. Hill, if you can just really just email those questions to us and everything, and then we can see by trying to get you an answer.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Is anyone else present that would like to address the council on these particular said items? If not, this public hearings are closed.
Public hearing to fix costs for demolition of structures at 2775 Spring Hill Avenue, formerly known as 2773 Spring Hill Avenue.
Just open up the public hearing for these particular said item. Is anyone present that would like to address the council on this item? Is anyone present? If not, this particular public hearing is closed.
Presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. Derek Payne.
Morning.
Morning.
My name is Derek Payne. I reside at 6805 Autumn Ridge Road, Mobile, Alabama, 36695. I'm here this morning to speak in terms of Heroes Park. And as far as the surplus that you have, I know where you can sprinkle a little of that. That's at Old Military Road, Heroes Park. We can sure use some of that surplus that's just sitting idle to help the Parks and Recreation continue to do the great job that they're doing with us in providing us the opportunity to get our park vibrant and back alive again, because what's being proposed right now is just it's like putting a Band-Aid on a compound fracture. And that's not, everybody knows that's not good. In order for us to get the people to come out to the park, they want to see the park being reconstructed. They want to see some work being done because they want like a good faith payment because of, I guess, past promises made and past promises broke as it relates to Heroes Park and Theodore. Maybe a lot of people don't understand. You probably won't get the grasp of how I feel and how the people feel in the over the road, down the road community. That park is like a field of dreams to us because it's filled with heritage and history before it became a park. And in order for our kids to excel and to have some things to do within our community, we certainly need your help and your assistance, as well as what the Park and Recreation and what Councilman Reynolds is doing. We're having talks, but we need some construction over there because we can't get the parents to come out and bring their kids to the parks to participate in any type of activities if the structure is unsafe to play on. Thank you for your time. Have a great day.
Thank you.
Mr. President,
Mr. Reynolds.
I think 2 weeks ago, Parks and Recreation Department held movies in the park at Heroes Park. I think routinely children play on the playground that's at the park. Mr. Payne, you have identified a group of kids that you'd like to see participate at the park. Just as I've spoken to you on the phone, just as I spoke to the Theodore community last night at their community meeting, I explained that if you make the request, arrangements are in place. If you make the request for the dates you would like to use the park, the city staff is on board with going out there and filling the holes and making the park safe. And not that it's unsafe now, but they're willing to make some minor improvements. But again, like I've said, we've allocated money out of the capital improvement plan to improve the roads and drainage throughout the Theodore community. And that's where we're at with it currently. I'm sorry that may not be exactly what you want to hear, but that's where we're at with it. And if you could get with Parks and Recreation maybe to set up the time where you expect to use the park so those arrangements could be made. I think Ms. Smith wanted to say something.
Good morning. So we did have the opportunity. We met with Mr. Payne 2-3 weeks ago. And what we are getting ready to do is do a top dress. What I understand he would like is a whole overhaul, and that's not what we are able to do. So we're getting ready to do a top dress to the field there. There are currently no permits on that field. We did a community engagement over in District 4 about 2 weeks ago and had about 4 representatives that came from the Theodore community as well. That week we had a Movies in the Park. 110 people showed up, which is a very big number for that area. And actually for most parks that we show up at, we had a meeting last night with a similar community that they came out and we said, hey, it's important that there's nothing wrong with the space. It is not MIMS, and I also say that MIMS look like that because of that community, and it takes that community actually putting in and make a difference as well in addition to what we do. We have baseball season coming up, and it's getting a permit, and I think it's like 4 different groups there that keeps talking to us, and what I advise is that they all come together because they're asking for help with coaches, and that's 4 people in a big group if they came together and actually worked together to enhance Heroes Park.
Creola Ruffin.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm Creola Ruffin, and address 61 St. Joseph Street, Mobile, Alabama, 36602. I'm here this morning on behalf of the Gulf Coast Ethnic and Heritage Jazz Festival. In doing these festivals, it appears that venue is very important. And we have been informed that the venue at Cooper Riverside Park will not be available. It will be closed for repairs after July 4th. Our event takes place on July 29th through 30th. at Cooper Riverside Park. And at this particular time, we are here to ask the council if the repairs in the park or whatever could be delayed until after July 30th. Venue plays a very, very important part in festivals, and of course, we want Mobile to look good. We have people coming to Mobile from all over the world to this festival. We are listed as an event destination in Visit Mobile. We are also listed under festivals as an event destination in the Jazz Times magazine, which is read worldwide. So if you could possibly look at that, we fill hotel rooms, our restaurants are busy with patrons that come every year to the festival. And if you could just look at delaying the, the closing of Cooper Riverside Park, because that is the venue that we would like to use. That's the venue where we started. And we started there for a reason. We started at Cooper due to the fact that your events coordinator with the city of Mobile at the time felt like during July that Cooper was the proper place to be, and we've been there since until some years Cooper was under repairs, serious repairs. So then we went to Bienville Square. Okay, now we're saying Bienville Square will be under repairs at the same time. So if you could just delay those repairs by a few weeks, we would be very, very happy. Thank you.
Yeah, Ms. Ruffin, thank you for coming down. Mr. Carroll.
Question to the administration. The cruise terminal, our boat doesn't return until October. Is that not correct? So the cruise terminal, the rooftop, would be available for use, or that open space outside on the water there, like we've done other nice events up there. It's a tremendous sight if you were to be on the rooftop of the parking deck at the cruise terminal, which is right next door to Cooper Riverside, if the facility wasn't available for you. But there's also some space right there by Gulf Quest also. I'm sure that if you get with Shonda, that we can work this out to accommodate in the administration to where we can accommodate a space for the annual Gulf Coast Jazz and Heritage Festival. I'll be glad to help with you to try to figure it out.
Well, thank you. I'll be in touch with you.
Yes, ma'am. And in the meantime, talk to these guys down here on the left, or I'll schedule a meeting where we can get together and figure it out.
Okay, thanks.
Yes, ma'am.
Let me just make a comment that, Cooper Riverside Park, we've been in the design stage for quite a while. It's not completely usable as it is. The barricades blocking you off from the river. The concern of putting it off has to do with hurricane season. The bigger jump we get on it, the better off we're going to be from our perspective. And also, Mardi Gras Park, we successfully moved the Nelly concert, probably with only 4 weeks' notice that we did that, and it was successfully held there. So there are other options. But, we need to try to figure out how do we get started on Cooper Riverside Park so that we can get as much of that work done as possible.
And if I would, Mayor, just to follow up, everything the mayor said is 100% right. And we made significant improvements to Mardi Gras Park to allow for lots of power to be used there. So there's power sources there. We upgraded the power supply there for things just like this. So folks can come in and have concerts and plug in. Additionally, I'll just reinforce that Bienville Square also will be under full renovation and repair starting very soon as well. So really for the same second half of this year. But again, delaying any of those, we will definitely find alternate location and make sure that they have a great spot to host their event. We We don't want them to not feel like they have a great spot, and we'll work with them to make sure they have a great spot to do it. But delaying any of these projects just puts it off into another event and another holiday or another Mardi Gras. And so we just want to really get these going in as quickly as possible and get them completed so we can get them back to full functionality.
Thank you. Madam Clerk.
Reverend David Edwards.
Good morning. My name is David Edwards. I reside at 670 Fisher Street here in Mobile, Alabama, 36607. So good to see all of you all here this morning. Mayor and administration, city council. I hadn't seen you this year, and Happy New Year. But I want to thank you all for all that you all do for People United to advance the Dream Mobile. In all the Dr. Martin Luther King celebrations, the birthday celebration was magnanimous this year. Also, we were able to take the most number of students and people to Selma for the annual Selma Bridge Crossing just this month. And we took a number of students. We took 2 buses. With the help of the city council, the mayor's office, your support, your financial support, and also I do want to thank you for all you do to help us to create harmony and a cohesive community as we bring people together for Dr. King celebrations. And just a footnote, next Tuesday, we will commemorate the 55th year of the assassination of Dr. King. And of course, what we want to do is we'll be able to be out at Figures Park, and we'll have a word of prayer out there at 6 o'clock. So you're all invited, and you'll get emails as to that event that's coming up, okay? And so I'm here this morning to speak on something a little bit different. But before I do, in the words of one of my wise mentors, Dr. Mike Murdock, you can never conquer what you're unwilling to confront. And as we all know, there's a lot of concerns about these maps from throughout the communities. And of course, understandably, given the long history of discrimination, too many of our neighborhoods have suffered for too long. And because there's a long history across the South and in Alabama as well of those that are in power using such things as redistricting and whatnot as a means to stay in power. The concerns is also understandably because last year annexation effort came right before the 2020 census. And the 2020 census indicated that most of our city was most populated of blacks. And of course, had that resolution or redistricting passed, it would have disenfranchised most of our black communities. So today, just months after that census demonstration, the majority of our black city, that is, a new map was adopted. There's another effort bringing new residents, which would change the demographics of the city. So today I'm here to urge you to be transparent as possible with those plans and their impact on our current city and the citizens of the city, and keeping our word to ensure that all of our citizens are properly represented, especially those that's been marginalized.
Yeah, thank you so much. Time has expired.
Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Reverend Bobby Brown.
Not present.
Kyle Bedwell.
Hey everyone, Kyle Bedwell. I reside at 1535 Schillinger Road, Unit C, 36695. I'd like to talk about storage buildings and the future land use map. When we want out of town family and friends to see pictures of where we're from, where you're from, what do you send them pictures of? Do you send them pictures of big box stores, storage buildings, car washes, strip malls, and acres of asphalt and parking lots? Or do we send them pictures of downtown Mobile, our favorite hole-in-the-wall mom and pop stores, our public parks, and our favorite historical walkable neighborhoods? That's normally what I send when I want somebody to know where I'm actually from. And why is that? Because those are the things that give pride of place, pride of ownership, that attracts tourists and that retains residents. These are also things that the city has stated it wants to see more of in the future land use map. Right now in my district, the majority of land at our major intersections is zoned for B3, which is possibly the most permissive of the B zones. Storage facilities can be built by right in these zones rather than by permit. So what can the city do to make sure that our most important land, both in my district and in other districts, does not become more storage buildings or other uses that do not create the kind of place and the kind of city that the city itself has said that it wants to become?
You said that you live out on Schillingers?
So that's my business address. My wife asked me not to give my physical address, but it was on my application.
But you live
Yes, I live in the city.
Which
I'm in Scott's district.
So you're just trying to make sure that no more storage units, because
So specifically in my district where I live, there are multiple storage buildings that have been built at major intersections. And every time that I have texted somebody who would know about what can be done about it, they say that because these storage buildings are being built in B3 districts, they can build storage buildings, mini storage facilities by right. They do not have to have a permit. They don't have to ask anybody. As long as they follow all the other laws, they can build these wherever, as long as it's zoned for it. And right now, pretty much at every major intersection in my district, it's by right. It's B3 zoning, and they could buy it and build a storage facility there, you know, without any input from you, the council, the planning commission, or anybody else.
Mr. President.
Yeah. Mr. Reynolds, then Mr. Jones.
You know, that's a real concern. You know, storage units popping up all over the place. I believe the future land use map. Now, I'm no planning specialist, but the future land use map is sort of a tool that the planners use to identify appropriate uses throughout the city. But as you've described, B3 storage facility is by right.
Yeah.
That's what it is. It's somebody's property right, you know, and I don't know that at least the city council would have the ability to take away that right, say arbitrarily.
Right.
There are some safeguards that may exist that I'm not necessarily involved with day to day, with permitting that happens, and I don't know if a PUD, a planned unit development, would be required for a storage facility. If that is the case, then it would have to go before the planning commission, and there is the opportunity for citizens to interject into that process to make your concerns known to them. And believe it or not, the planning commission is, you know, they really do consider a lot of those things. So if a public notice goes out, please pay attention to it so that you can get your neighbors and everyone in your area to the planning commission to let the planning commission know what your concerns are.
Absolutely.
Okay? Thank you.
Yeah, the point's extremely valid. And if you drive down Cottage Hill Road or Hillcrest, just outside of numerous neighborhoods through the district, you've got brand new, large, couple of acre storage facilities. And these are areas that the residents would like to see something else. And these are going to have 30, 40, 50-year impacts on the district. The issue is, and I would correct you, it's not B3, it's B2. And B2, these are allowed by planning commission vote and approval. The problem is there is zero community involvement before this gets built. Neighbors don't know, and neighbors don't have the ability to come down to Planning Commission and get involved in the process. And that's something that we desperately need to look at. There's a lot of green space in the areas out in West Mobile. There's a lot of green space in the area that we're going to annex. And this gets to the quality of life issue that is expected with people that live in these communities. And they don't want to see a storage unit right around the corner from their house. I've got numerous complaints, emails and phone calls from neighborhoods that have seen this pop up. And it's something I think we do need to go back and look at with the UDC, and we do need to go back and see what is by right and what is by Planning Commission. What is that process to get, because neighbors should have a voice, and neighbors should have a vote when it's going to impact their quality of life in their neighborhood. And right now, we don't really have a plan in place. We talk about the future use map, but that's not how we do business in the city. We do this piecemeal. Whoever wants to develop a piece of property presents it to the Planning Commission without any type of real plan for an area. So, their frustration is they would like to see something like a community involvement. That's something we'll talk about in the future, to get an overlay together that will give you more of an ability to impact change as we go through the district, and that's something that we'll look at. But it is a problem. I understand it, and we are going to address it.
Where can I go to find the correct zoning codes?
I'll get it to you.
Okay.
It's on. You can find it on the City of Mobile website.
Because that's where I pulled it, I thought, and it was saying B3 for all of the ones that were of concern to me.
Okay. We may be looking at different ones, too. The ones
I just want to make sure that I'm pointing myself in the right direction.
Yeah, no problem. We have so many, you probably were.
Probably. Thank you.
Mr. President,
Ms. Greger.
just to chime in a little bit, and we certainly hear you and understand where you're coming from. If it's already zoned for B2, then yeah,
right.
There's a whole list of things that can go into a B2. But if it is not zoned for that and somebody is applying to rezone to put something like that in, the new UDC actually does now require these pre-proposal type meetings. It's early on in our UDC applications. I had a meeting last night. It was one of the first ones that I think we had since the UDC went into effect, that requires these pre-proposal meetings, if you will, so that neighbors can come out and ask questions and learn what these proposals are intended to be well before they get to the Planning Commission and that process starts. So that will help you as well, I think.
That'd be great.
All right, thank you. Madam Clerk.
Ordinance, Reggie Hill. Reggie Hill regarding resolutions 31-300, 21-323, 08-329, 21-332, ordinance 64-015, resolutions 03-341, and 08-364.
Thank you, Madam City Clerk, and it was great to see the other half of the Coleman family in full force today. Hopefully we'll have some true fortitude in our decision-making here from our public officials. Greetings to the citizens and stakeholders of Mobile, Reggie Hill, 1007 Center Street. I rise today to address those matters that were presented by our city clerk. I would like to start with 03-341, I believe. While potentially conflicting in the past experiences of appointing former elected officials, I think this is something that we can all agree on. And so I wish him well, Mr. John Williams, in this pursuit of this. The next thing I want to look at, please, is 31-300. Now, I want to make sure this is clear to those with altar point, because this is rare. When we can have an entity willing to ensure a match at this level. However, we have ARP as an example, in my opinion, of how we should be cautious about what federal contracts we're about to consume over the city. I think with this time that's being left to review this, not only should we examine what this entity might be doing with the resources, but what the city is going to do with the resources, particularly when we have examples, excuse me, using federal grants before. Next, let's look at this 21-323, the CIP for the fire station. I know it's obvious that we're giving $3 million for CIP projects per district. I think that's a correct statement. And this allocation is a little over $143,000 for design. Now, this morning, Mr. Simpson mentioned retention of Mobilians to earn their degrees and potentially come back and work here. I'm wondering, why haven't we used our local institutions to do the same thing? We're just talking about a design, y'all. We have people who are majoring in things here at South and at Spring Hill, or either going to potentially do this at Bishop State, but we could save these resources and do the same thing. Wonder how we keep people here? Well, this is the way to start it. Invest those dollars in something that's actually going to be beneficial for everybody. Let's get to this 08-329. These trucks for $237,000. Is there any date or potential projected date for the release of the vehicle inventory list? For time's sake, let's look at the convention center cleaning. That's 21-332. Do we have any kind of update on how we should be spending $80K when we're losing nearly $500,000 on this angle? I don't have the time to keep going because I really need to get to these last two. On the 64-015, there was a public hearing on this, the Downtown Development District. Please do not move the Civic Center away from being the entertainment heirloom that it is. We need to allocate the resources toward there. And lastly, this 08-364, this $2.4 million for 40 Tahoes. We don't have the personnel. That's the first thing that's being articulated to us. We are short-staffed. The next thing is we don't have a report of what the existing vehicles is. And finally, because this is the point I think matters most, we're willing to sponsor $2 million for public safety vehicles, but we'll withhold $1,000
Mr. Hill.
for keeping the peace. Thank you for yielding the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Hill. Madam Clerk.
Ordinance is held over. 88014, authorize the conveyance of city-owned property located at 2451 Phill and Jim Street, not now needed for public or municipal purposes.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item pass.
Consent resolutions held over. 31300, authorize a grant application to the U.S. Department of Justice, Bureau of Justice Assistance for the fiscal year 23 Connect and Protect Law Enforcement Behavioral Health Response Program.
So moved.
Motion to lay over 1 week as requested.
We can go ahead and hear it.
First, Mr.
I moved the item first. I think Mr. Jones seconded.
He didn't say second.
He just said he's
Yeah.
willing
I'll
to
second
go.
Mr. Reynolds.
Okay, second. Then properly moving second. Any discussion?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
One
Opposed?
abstention.
Item passed 5-2. 5-1 with one abstention. Madam Clerk.
03339, concur in the reappointment of Mary Stewart Nelson to the Alta Point Health Systems, Inc. Board.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moving second. Any discussion?
Yeah, Mr. President.
Yeah, Mr. Jones.
Everybody knows that we have significant issues with Alta Point. They just received a $7 million judgment against how they handle business. There's been numerous other complaints. I addressed the board this last week, and I requested an investigation into these charges that were upheld in front of a judge and jury with no response. At this point, we have an opportunity for change, and change that needs to happen. I've had numerous people, both on the board and in other entities, tell me that the current board is nothing more than a rubber stamp for the actions that take place. We need vision, we need truth, we need insight, and we need answers. The abuses that are happening are well documented, and to this point have been ignored by the leadership of the organization, at least in a public forum. Nothing has come to us. This board used to be represented by entities from all over the region. Drug Education Council, Lifeline Counseling, others. Family Counseling, Mobile Mental Health. As this changed, now every board member has been requested by the CEO of that organization and appointed in that manner. It's time that we get back to having somebody on that board, a number of people on that board that represent the region. It is true that they make the recommendation to this body for 3 appointments, but that is not our law. Our law that drives us and our appointments is state law, and it gives us full autonomy and authority to appoint whoever we choose. I'm going to vote against putting this person on the board in lieu of one of the most recognized, professional, and renowned mental health workers in this city, Chandra Brown. And that will come as soon as this one is either tabled or does not pass. Chandra Brown, I've talked to. She is in agreement to serve on that board. She is a South Alabama trustee. She's the current executive director of Lifeline Counseling and has been for almost 30 years in this city. There's nobody on that board as qualified as she is to provide us the feedback that we need to make the proper decisions with all-to-point decisions that come before us. And they're numerous. If we want what we continue to have right now, then we do nothing. If we want to create the change that I know so many in my district are calling out to me for, then this is the right move. There's not been a greater need in our community since we held office as there has been mental health issues. We hear it every week, every month, phone calls, emails, etc. We saw it yesterday play out on the national stage. And we can either sit here and ignore it or we can take action as a city council. And we can take action in a very positive way. There's 24 board members. There's 7 counties. But Mobile is responsible for about 70% of the mental health cases in all of those 7 counties. So we have the majority of the mental health issues that they get in front of them. That puts the onus on our backs. I move that we deny this and we put in Chandra Brown as the board member. Thank you, Mr. President.
Do we have, was that discussion?
No, there's no discussion, Mr. President, but I could make a general statement here.
Hold on, Mr. Carroll. Mr. Jones, did you make an amendment?
Negative. There's no amendment. I'm
Okay.
ready to vote on
Okay, Mr. Carroll.
this item.
Okay.
Just for a point of clarity, Ms. Brown is a dear friend. I was president of the Family Counseling Center Board of Directors for, can't remember whether it's 3 or 6 years. When Joyce Collier retired, I was actually the board executive that helped replace Joyce with Chandra Brown. So please note that anything that I say here is not to defile or put her in a position to where she is not qualified to do such job, because she is. But the bylaws of the organization and law states that no member elected to the board shall be permitted to qualify to act as such so long as he is a director or officer or has the power directly or indirectly to direct or cause the direction of the management or policies of any other organization providing any mental health services as set forth in Act 310, Section 22-51-1 of the Code of Alabama, 1975, as amended from this time to persons in these counties served. So in essence, Shonda is conflicted out and she cannot be a member of this board. So it would be an inappropriate appointment to even try to appoint her there. So, Mr. President, I yield. I just want to make that clear to the council members, and so that everyone knows, and that we make sure that we do the right thing here.
Mr. President, I'd like to defer to our council. Is it not possible for any issue that relates to her organization for her not to recuse herself from any vote? And I doubt she would even be a voting member on this board.
Councilmember Jones, I've not seen the bylaws, although I don't think they would govern this council's actions because those are enacted by the entity that we're discussing. Could I ask Councilmember Carroll to tell me again which statute he just cited?
I'm sending it to you right
I would need to look at that first.
And other council members?
Mr. President, if this is going to be in question, then I would move that we lay this over for a week until we get resolution on this.
Second.
And properly move and second that.
Lay over for 1 week.
now. Table it.
Yeah, you need to, need to withdraw.
Okay. The table.
No.
With
To lay it over, yeah, withdraw the motion, just lay it over for 1 week. Another
I'll
week.
withdraw my motion.
All right. Yeah, the motion was to approve, so someone needed to take that back, and then we need the motion to lay it over for another week.
That was Joel and William.
I want to see what the law says, because I was told by an attorney that she does not.
A motion to lay over to a date certain carries the vote. So the motion on the floor is to lay over 1 week.
Second.
That was your motion. I seconded it.
Okay. I thought you were making a motion.
Question is, did Mr. Days, did you take your motion?
They don't have to.
You don't, oh, okay. All right. All in favor for Mr. Reynolds' motion?
No, Mr. Jones's motion.
Mr. Jones.
Mr. Jones, I'm sorry about it. Mr. Jones' motion. All in favor for Mr. Jones' motion?
Aye.
Aye.
One
All right.
abstention.
All right, it fails. All right.
Who voted against?
Hold up.
Mr. President, I request a roll call vote. On the motion to hold over 1 week.
I didn't
On the
hear the
motion
vote.
to hold it.
On the motion to hold over.
No, roll call vote, Madam Clerk.
President Small,
Yes.
Vice President Gregory,
Abstain.
Councilmember Penn,
Yes.
Councilmember Carroll, Councilmember Reynolds,
Yes.
Councilmember Daves, Councilmember Jones,
Yes.
Okay. Pass.
So
That would
it
lay
passes.
over for 1 week. Another week. Madam Clerk.
CIP resolutions held over. 21-323, authorized contract with Watermark Design for design of the new Tomanville Fire Station.
So moved.
And properly moving second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item pass.
Resolutions held over. 01324, authorized agreement with Kenny Hussey to provide racket stringer services for Parks and Recreation. 01325, authorized agreement with Dustin Scott to provide racket stringer services for Park and Recreation.
Mr. President,
Mr. Reynolds.
I'd ask the clerk to read 01325 individually.
We'll take that one out and read it separately. 08326, approved purchase order to, and 08327, approving purchase orders to CDW Government for annual renewal of Microsoft Windows and Microsoft 365 licenses. 08328, approved purchase order to Safeware Inc. for hazmat detection devices and monitors. 08329, approved purchase order to Stivers Ford for Ford Super Crew pickup truck. 09330, reallocate funds from capital project engineering right-of-way and testing to Grant Fund USA Special Event Traffic Plan to develop a special events traffic plan for City Street. 21331, authorize contract with the Medina Group Consulting for implementation of a regional recycling education and marketing program. 21332, authorize contract with Rollin Construction for a soft wash of the exterior of the Arthur R. Outlaw Convention Center. 21333, authorize contract with Howard Technology Solutions for cybersecurity services. 37334, consider a certificate of public convenience and necessity to Lee Anthony Clark to operate a shuttle service. 45335, accept Lighton Place Drive of Lighton Village for city maintenance. 6336, authorize settlement agreement and release of claims.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second. Any discussion?
Yes, sir, Mr. President.
Ms. Gregory.
On 09-330, which is reallocating some funds for testing and right-of-way and event traffic planning with University of South Alabama. I'm happy to see this. It's a great move that the city and University of South Alabama can work together on this event planning and traffic management. So far, it has been working really well with the new football stadium and a lot more people coming to the area. But of course, this is great work to always make things better. So I just appreciate everybody's involvement in it. Thank you very much.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes.
01325, authorize agreement with Dustin Scott to provide racket stringer services for Parks and Recreation Department.
So moved.
Second.
Been properly moved and second.
I
Any
thought there
discussion?
was.
Yes, sir, Mr. President. I'd like to offer an amendment that's on file with the clerk's office, just modifying the resolution to the right dollar amount to match the contract.
Second.
Properly moved and second. Any discussion on Mr. Reynolds' amendment? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Going back to the original. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes.
Ordinance is being introduced, 64015 through 34017.
These ordinances will be laid over by 1 week per council rules.
Consent resolutions being introduced, 03340 through 6358.
Move to waive the rules for immediate consideration of these resolutions as read, with the exception of 37-342 and 40-347.
Second.
And properly moved.
347 is being laid over for 30 days, so we have to take that one.
Well,
But we
We'll
got
have
to
to
pull
take
it
it
up
out.
and then lay it up.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
For the purposes of waiving the rules,
Yeah, I see.
it's read
She
correctly.
said with exception.
oh, that's right. Just pull, take it out. Yeah.
Right.
We need to pull it out, yes.
Mr. Davis, you second?
No, I'm fine.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
03340 and 03341, appointing Bill Egerton to the Mobile Museum of Art Board and appointing John Williams to the Water and Sewer Board of Commissioners. 40, 343, 344, 345, 346, 348, 349, and 350 are declaring the structures at 1017 Donald Street, 1852 Mott Drive South, 301 North Ann Street, 1003 B Houston Street, 2077 Victory Drive West, 5651 Stegall Street, public nuisances and ordering them demolished, and 4350 is fixing the cost of demolition of structures at 2775 Spring Hill Avenue. 58351 assess cost for removal of weeds, Weedling Group 1636. 352 approve award special bonus to the Administrative Services Employee of the Month. 353, 354, 355, 356, 357, and 358 are determining appropriations to Bay Area Women's Coalition, Inc., Trinity Gardens Falcons Athletics, Main Street Mobile, Inc., Casa Mobile, Inc., Historic Mobile Preservation Society, and Pack Theater Company Foundation serve a public purpose in approving payments.
So moved.
Second.
Any properly moved and second in the discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Item passes.
4347, declare the structure at 4019 Tulsa Drive a public nuisance and order it demolished.
Move it laid over 30 days.
Second.
Properly moved and second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Items laid over.
Resolutions being introduced, 08359 through 27371.
By council rules, these will lay over for 1 week.
Call for public hearings, 41372. Call for public hearing to consider approval of a certificate of public convenience and necessity to Comfort Transport to operate a shuttle service scheduled April 11th.
So moved.
Second.
And properly moved and second in discussion. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Public hearing is called.
Announcements.
District 4, Councilman Reynolds.
No announcements.
District 1, Councilman Penn.
No announcements.
District 6, Councilman Jones.
Thank you, Mr. President. On Thursday night at 6 p.m., the Mobile Parks and Recs will be holding a community meeting at the Connie Hudson Center. Again, it's at 6 p.m. to talk about what the community wants with regards to Parks and Recs there. Unfortunately, I will not be able to attend as I'll be out of town getting ready to celebrate Grandparents' Day. So y'all have a great meeting, and I will get a full debrief from Parks and Recs after that meeting. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, Councilman Jones. District 2, Councilman Carroll.
President, on April 4th at 6 p.m. at James Sills or Texas Street Community Center, Mobile Parks and Recreation will be there to talk about community engagement and what they like or what we like to see in our park. We have been told today that PFM's delivery will be, again, delayed a little bit. We will, in District 2, reach out to everyone as quickly as possible when we can get our community meeting set to discuss their findings. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilman Carroll. District 5, Councilman Davis. District 7, Councilwoman Gregory.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Parks and Recreation Department will hold a community engagement meeting this evening at Hillsdale Recreation Center at 6 o'clock. This is another of the various meetings going on around the city for residents to come and talk about what they would like to see and provide suggestions and talk with Parks and Recreation officials about any concerns they may have as well. I will not be able to attend this evening, unfortunately, but as Mr. Jones said, we will certainly be getting a full update from our Parks and Recreation Department on what is discussed. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Vice President Gregory, and greetings to the citizens of District 3. Just a reminder, on next week, April the 6th, which is next Thursday, we will have a meeting at the Revelation Baptist Church discussing the future and the progressive of Maysville community and the Oakdale community. Again, that will be held on April the 6th at 6 o'clock p.m. at the Revelation Baptist Church. On April the 8th, on that Saturday, we will have our annual Easter egg hunt, which will be held at the Gilroy Elementary School on Dolphin Island Parkway. The fun and festivities will start at 3 o'clock p.m., inviting all the kids of District 3 to come out to have a great celebration. And on April the 20th, we will be having a community meeting for the South DIP area, talking about the future of DIP and the TIF. And that would be on April the 20th at the Riverside Baptist Church at 6 o'clock p.m., inviting all the citizens to come out on that evening. Just got back this morning from the National League of Cities in Washington, D.C., and I don't have a full report ready yet, but I wanted to share this with the administration and also my colleagues on the council. I was in a particular class on Sunday and was talking about ARPA funding, and all of a sudden, you know, the Mobile, Alabama name appeared on the screen, where the head of the Treasury Department was talking about the best practice of using the ARPA funding towards, you know, affordable homes and everything. So I wanted to make sure that I, you know, extend congratulations to the administration for putting Mobile on the map. You know, as the closest city they was, that's close to here was talking about, was Pensacola. But it was just amazing that you're in a room full of people and someone said, "Hey, Small, look up." And I looked up, and there is Mobile, Alabama being recognized as using best practice of offer funding. Again, I want to congratulate the mayor and his administration and the staff, and even this council for even supporting, the efforts going towards offer funding to help to support our communities. Is there anything else from this council? Anything from the administration?
Motion to adjourn.
Properly moving second in the discussion.